This is the Winkle Report with your host, Ferd Winkle.
Hi folks, Ferd Winkle here and welcome to the Winkle Report. Today we're covering a story that deals with the game of politics, where the stakes are high and the goals sometimes murky. Our story starts some 10 years ago with what is known as Wattagate, or to the vast majority of the public simply, Whatgate. At that time, the Republican Congress claimed to have discovered through an internal investigation credible evidence indicating that a light bulb in the ceiling of the Capitol building had been installed by the Democratic Party during a previous administration and demanded that it immediately be replaced. The Democratic response, that replacing a perfectly good light bulb was a waste of taxpayer money, and what difference did it make when the light bulb was installed, only served to exacerbate the situation, and reacting to what they called an obvious attempt to strengthen central government and deliberate obfuscation on the part of the Democrats. The Republicans called for a congressional hearing and convened a subcommittee to look into the matter. Soon after, reports began appearing in social media and on right-wing information sites about Republican suspicions concerning Democratic recalcitrance in changing the bulb, and how it was part of a plot to increase the size of federal government and extend its control over citizens' lives. Lines were drawn in the sand, and any who had the temerity to point out there was no proof of any kind of conspiracy and that it did not make any sense to replace functioning light bulbs were immediately branded as liberal socialists. In fact, the issue became so heated that it became a major plank of the Republican Party during the next election cycle with the rallying cry, "Know what is what's good for you." And it has continued to be a strong point of their platform in every election since. As it turns out, the light bulb was never replaced, although Republicans continued to complain about the matter until the issue resolved itself with the bulb finally failing 2 days ago. In a just-released press statement, the Republican Party has claimed credit for having the foresight to predict the failure of the Democratic initiative. And though Republican budget cuts have left the Capitol without funds for any replacement bulbs, they assert it is their opponents' fault for creating the problem in the first place. Republicans have since threatened the government's shutdown, declaring they refuse to work in the dark. With us today via satellite is the head of the Republican subcommittee, Congressman D.M. Witt from...
That's Witte. W-I-T-T-E, Witte. D.M. Witte the Fourth. I come from a long line of D.M. Wittes.
My apologies. To recap, you're head of the Watt Committee at an annual cost of some 1.2 million tax dollars per year, which has been in session since the incident first came to light 10 years ago, and which has just released its findings, which I quote here. Although no definitive evidence for conspiracy has been found, we demand the resignation of the Capitol Building Maintenance Supervisor responsible for allowing the light bulb to fail. This kind of mismanagement cannot be tolerated, as it shows a flagrant disregard for taxpayer money and a waste of government funding, unquote. You have also asked that the subcommittee's charter be extended to look into impeachment proceedings against the President for being in office during the event.
That is correct, Ferd. We have a responsibility to the people to see that justice is served, and this bulb failure is only the latest in a long series of offenses that this President has committed in his flagrant disregard for the will of the people and the Constitution of these United States.
You are aware, Senator, that many have called these charges farcical and racially biased, especially since this President was not in office when the situation arose.
Farcical? It is our sworn and solemn duty to protect our citizenry from government intrusion into their lives. And as for racially motivated, I'll have you know that it wouldn't make any difference if he were Hispanic or a woman. We'd still treat him the same way.
So you think that a burnt light bulb as a cause for impeachment is no different than propaganda lies about his birthright, citizenship, religion, and education, just as you feel justified in invoking conspiracy theories over gun ownership, racial takeover, and imminent immigrant invasion.
We only speak the truth, and you have never heard most of these issues raised by individuals in government, only civilians on supporting websites. And we're not responsible for what they decide to put out. The First Amendment protects their freedom to say what they believe.
And what do you believe?
Why? What have you heard?
Congressman, all of these so-called issues have been proven to be nothing but lies and distortions.
No, they haven't. Just because they're not true doesn't mean they're lies.
Even if it's a deliberate falsehood and wrong.
It's not wrong if they believe it.
You do know that most of the public believes that Republicans favor the wealthy and are incapable of enacting meaningful legislative reform.
Well, they're wrong. We fight for Christian values in the name of the Constitution.
And there you have it, folks. Congressman D.M. Whitty speaking for the Republican caucus on the findings of the Watt Committee. This is Ferd Winkle of the Winkle Report saying the truth is out there somewhere, and we keep our eyes open so you don't have to.
This has been the Winkle Report.